Today is Thursday, September 21st, 2023. My name is Alexis Briggs Brignoni. And as always, I have the great company of my awesome co-hosts, the digital forensic examiner sensei, the master of things forensic, the one that keeps pushing me to be better, the one and only Heather Charpentier. The music is Higher Up by Shane Ivers and can be found at silvermansound.com. And with that, we start the show. Hello. There we go. Now people can see us. Hello, Heather. What's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just still getting my my feet on the ground. Came back from a trip to Boston. It was really fun, so I liked it a lot.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
What
was
did
there.
You do there?
Yeah, I was there at the RCFL. The RCFL. So for folks who don't know, is the Regional Computer Forensics Lab. In this case, is the New England Regional Computer Forensic Lab in Boston. Actually, I got pictures for the folks that are might be watching. So let me get you a picture. So I was there. I was invited to the RCFL to talk about mobile forensics and all that good stuff. Beautiful building, as the folks can see there. The lab is housed in the FBI's Federal Bureau of Investigation field office in Boston. So I was privileged to be able to teach there and speak with the examiners from the area. So that was really fun. And yeah, it's pretty good. Actually,
Very nice.
Talking about nice things, you can see here on my side here, right?
Very nice.
Heather knows I was really excited about this little neon sign that says "on air." Like I'm in a little studio here, which is
Your
actually
studio is getting so fancy that I had to get myself some lights as well.
yeah. You will not be left behind by any means.
I was looking a little plain over here.
No, you're fantastic. So I put the on air there to make me feel better. So folks that are listening, I have a small neon on air sign, like I'm an actual what's it called, like not a DJ, but if people speak on the radio, Anyways, so what do you have going on, Heather? What's going on?
Oh, well, this week started the Celebrate Capture the Flag challenge. So because you're on my team, we are working through that.
By we as you and Kevin, because I suck.
I don't know. I'm struggling. I think Kevin's kind of taking it.
Last night we were like 12 for a little bit, but now we're ranking down again.
Yeah, we're definitely falling down the scoreboard quite a bit. But if for anybody who doesn't know, the Celebrate Capture the Flag is going on right now. There are 4 images, 2 iOS images, 2 Android images. It's running from September 20th through the 27th. And last I looked, there's 350 teams, which are teams as well as individuals registered to compete in the challenge of answering all of the digital forensic questions that Celebrate has come up with. The top scorer receives a free Celebrate class. I think that's my understanding. And then all the other winners receive challenge points. So if you haven't signed up yet, I don't believe it's too late to sign up and download the extractions and get started. It is definitely challenging.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to compete for whatever reason, because I recommend that you do, but just getting the images is worth a lot, because then you have some test data that you can play along and do research on, or just try to figure out how things work. So just having test data, it's awesome. And the folks that build the questions, Heather and Jared and and all those fun or did the test data, really nice people. I will say I will pick a bone with them later on some of the questions, because they're a little bit too vaguely worded for my taste.
But overall, though, it's really fun, and it really challenges you, and you'll learn a lot about the iOS and Android file systems. That's for sure. I know that I now need to go take some additional classes in Android after this.
Oh no, I hear you. I hear you. when you're an instructor like us, and you're like, but you know what? That's what this field is. We constantly be growing. Look, there's folks here loving the science, so I appreciate some of the comments here. And I appreciate that Kevin is also around, even though he's been carrying us in this competition. Yeah. So I got a quick question. Are the events in Boston open? So events at the RCFL are usually for the examiners and law enforcement for the area, but there's also a lot of events, digital forensics event happening, especially in Boston, like big cities like that. There's always events happening. So that's something that we hope to kind of bring, like more announcements of events are happening in different locations. So we're looking into putting that out as well. Oh, before we forget, look, is it this side? What side? Can you see this, Heather? Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, I say, you see this. I have a shirt that has our logo. A T-shirt says "Digital Forensics Now," and it was a kind gift from Heather because she's awesome, and she got us, and we got me a shirt with the Digital Forensics Now logo, a little microphone with the bits and bytes coming out. So thank you. I'm eternally grateful.
You're welcome.
I should take it off someday. It's starting to stink.
Have you been wearing it since I sent it?
Well, let's go to the next section. Yeah, and the next session is up to me, right? Yeah, it's up to me, actually. So some of the things that are happening, and we wanted to bring this up because the SANS, talking about organizations that put up events, they support an event called the Difference Makers Awards. And the Difference Makers Awards are people get nominated and they are selected as a person, groups, or a tooling that has to make a difference for this year. I was honored to be nominated and being selected by I say me, but me in representation of all the developers that work in the LEAP tools, which is the ones that we put open source tools for digital forensic examiners. And we were nominated as open source tool of the year, and we won. So, and the folks here can see a little trophy in the shape of a nice key. So it's really nice. And I would like to promote this because there's a lot of people doing great work that should be recognized. So what you need to do is go to the I think we have the address here. If you can put it up, if we have it. Go. If we don't have it,
I will put it up on the site.
Okay, yeah. So go to SANS and look for Difference Makers Award. It's a simple Google. You'll Google search, you'll find it, and then vote. And these are the categories that are up there, right? So let me show them. So they are article or book of the year, diversity champion of the year, community champion or influencer of the year, innovator of the year, mentor of the year, open source tool of the year, which is the one that we won last year, podcast, live stream, video series of the year. I'm just saying for the future, I don't know, just putting it out there in the universe. Rising Star, Teamwork Practitioner of the Year, Team Leader of the Year, and Lifetime Achievement Award. So which last year was Leslie Carhart. She's awesome. So yeah, please go there, nominate folks that are doing good work, and make sure that other people hear about it by them being nominated and hopefully winning this award.
So there's some other training and scholarship opportunities that have come up lately that we're going to share with everybody too. IACIS has a couple of scholarships that are going to be opening up soon. The Will Dawkins Scholarship is for city, county, state law enforcement agencies that conduct digital forensic examinations. The agencies cannot have more than 2 personnel that are assigned to conduct digital exams in their agency to be able to qualify for the scholarship. And the scholarship is for their basic computer forensic examiner class. It will give them the opportunity to go take the class, and it's all expenses paid for the class and lodging, and expenses for meals and per diem. Another scholarship for IACIS that's also opening up, they're both opening up in October, is the Women in Law Enforcement Scholarship. This one is for female in law enforcement. They can be sworn or civilian. And what you have to do for that scholarship is provide your CV and write an essay of no more than 500 words. And that will be based on your career goals, and it's also a scholarship for the basic computer forensic examiner course through IACIS.
Nice.
And then Magnet also has a scholarship right now. They actually have two different categories. One is for an examiner new to forensics, and the other category is for somebody advanced in forensics. They're providing a license for Magnet Axiom for 1 year and training pass for all of their courses. And also that provides you with the opportunity to take their certification exam. So that one's actually open now through December 1st. So just some opportunities there for training and scholarship.
And I mean, the Magnet courses, I took them. They're the online, and I've taken some also in person, but online, and they're really, really good. So highly recommend.
Yeah, I've taken some of those too. They are excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some other opportunities for training are it's coming from Belkasoft, and I'll tell you that it's a great training opportunity because for the time being, it's free. So if you let me put it up on screen. And don't worry, if you're listening, we're gonna have these URLs at the description of the podcast or the video, so you can grab them from there. So from September 15 to October 15, you can get the iOS forensics course with Belkasoft. They provide you a temporary license to do the course. And after that, if you don't take advantage of it, then it's gonna be a paid course. So if you want to take it for free, do it now. I will tell you. I like some of the tools they come out with, especially at least Belkasoft, the way they deal with WAL files. I really like it. So go check it out. It's right for now. It's free. So don't walk, run.
Yeah, I just did the course. It was excellent. I don't actually have the Belkasoft tools, and it was really good to learn how to use a tool that I don't have in the lab. I would actually consider purchasing Belkasoft after using it. Some of the capabilities are really good. And the training was really good. It wasn't just based on the Belkasoft tool. It also gave you a better understanding of some of the artifacts that you find in an iOS file system. So I would recommend the training even if you don't have the tools. And I think after you take the training, you would consider purchasing the tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the comments here. It also comes, and thanks for the reminder. You get six CPE, credits for taking the course. So if you have certifications and you need credit hours to be able to maintain those certifications, this is one way of getting 6 of those credits and learning a lot of cool stuff about iOS. So check it out. All righty.
So last week we put up a post asking for if anybody had recommendations that they wanted to see on the podcast, and we had a recommendation to talk about the SQLECmd and the DFIR Artifact Museum, and I had never heard of either. So I went out and did a little bit of research and messed around with both of these, the websites and the tools. I'm going to do a little demo for everyone so you can see how they work.
This is my favorite part. This is my favorite part of the show.
Let me share my screen. Let's see here.
Which one are we doing first?
We're going to do the SQLECmd.
Awesomeness.
And
yeah, it is coming up.
So I went out to Eric Zimmerman's website and downloaded his SQLECmd. And I am going to run it for you and show you how it works.
Yeah, let me give you a quick background. Eric Zimmerman, he used to be an FBI agent. I think he works for Kroll now. What an incredible guy. He does all sorts of tools, free to use. One of his tools is kind of an industry standard at this point, CAPE and some other tooling. So this is one of the tools that he provides to the community as well.
So let me give a little bit of an explanation before I actually run it. So the way it works is the tool has what's called map files, and the map files are SQLite queries. And if there's a map file available for a specific database in your extractions, whether it be an Android, an iOS, a Windows, or whatever type of extracted data you have, if there's a map file available to run through this tool, then the tool will hunt for that particular database, and you can run the map file. It'll find the database and it'll parse it out, and you can dump the parsed data into a CSV file. So I'm going to use the command to hunt for, I'm going to do iOS, and I'm going to use artifacts that are located in the DFIR Artifact Museum, which is the other website that I'm talking about in this section. That is a repository of a whole bunch of artifacts. A lot of them are the Josh Hickman artifacts, and they're all there for everybody's use for testing and validation, available for anybody to go download and use. I'm going to use the iOS extraction, and I'm going to point the SQLECmd at the iOS extraction and have it hunt for databases and see what we come up with here. So let me open it up here.
Yeah, and it's a command line program for Windows. So what we're seeing here is a command line prompt, and about to run the command.
I'm gonna just grab the command I already saved to save us time. And so I'm running the SQLite command to hunt, and I'm pointing it at where I downloaded the DFIR Artifact Museum. I'm pointing it at the iOS folder, and then I'm having it dump the CSV out to a temp folder on my C drive, and it's hunting for those databases. So we'll run it. And if all goes well.
Yeah, and it said like maps loaded 72, and it's going through and kind of finding all sorts of, it's going pretty quick, but like different databases. Are the maps based on the names of the databases, or how is that? How are the maps? Mm-hmm.
The maps are based on the names of the databases.
Gotcha.
So now I have them all dumped to a temp file on my C drive. Let me share that with you.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you kind of know that you're going to be pulling out certain databases, I guess it's a good way of kind of automating that process. Oh, there we go. Look at those.
So there were maps in the maps folder, which came with the SQLite tool, for calls, iOS health, photos, and the SMSDB, and it parsed that data out into the CSV files. And if I were going to look at this data, I'm not a huge fan of spreadsheets. I would bring this all into probably Zimmerman Timeline Explorer. Not a huge fan of just opening up spreadsheets. So I think we will do that. Let me open up Timeline Explorer. And I will share my screen with that in just a moment. Once I have it open.
Yeah, I see a good use as a triaging, like, oh, I got these, or maybe I have these 10 databases that I need for specific things. You can easily kind of pull them out and look at those contents without having to do queries or nothing, just by looking at those tables. I kind of figure would be a scenario for this. All right. Timeline Explorer is open, so now you're pulling in all the CSVs?
Yes.
Nice. Right. And for those that are not familiar, Timeline Explorer is a tool that also Eric does. Is graphical, and you can take CSV, like text files like this, and if they have a timestamp, then it can do it chronologically, set all that content in chronological order.
So I like Timeline Explorer because I like the filtering, and I'm a fan of looking at the data in Timeline Explorer the way it lays it out better than the way spreadsheets do, and the way it handles the columns better than spreadsheets do. But it's a nice little tool to be able to filter on the columns.
Absolutely.
So that is, in a nutshell, how the SQLite tool works. And the DFIR Artifact Museum is awesome. I would use that all the time for testing and validation purposes as well, not just for this tool, for all kinds of purposes.
So it's like folks put data in that museum, or how's that work?
Yeah, there's a bunch of contributors for that museum. There's a lot of the Josh Hickman data in there. There's Windows artifacts in there. Let me pop up the folder. I'll do a little view of the different artifacts that I pulled down from the DFIR Artifact Museum. So there's Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, Windows Phone. That was all pulled down from the repository. And inside of these folders are different directories and different databases within each of the folders. So the TCC database, which is part of the Hickman iOS application permissions, you get the call log databases. So it's got all the databases in there that you would need to run with the SQLite tool.
Yeah, and folks, anybody can contribute. That's my assumption.
Yes. So anybody can contribute to that. And the more people that can contribute to the maps as well, the more this tool can do, right? So if you can get in there and contribute to writing the SQLite queries and putting more maps into the tool, the more databases it can support.
Yeah. So folks can contribute with maps for the tooling, but also with databases and data for the museum as well. I think, but is that the case? Can I contribute to the museum as well? Not only with the maps for the tool, but for the museum, can folks contribute to that? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Make sure. Okay. Very cool. And having test data, because I think at the end of the day, the purpose is having that data for you to test, to be able to see how artifacts evolve through time, right? We need everybody to band together because if I have a case and I might need to see how this data behaves in a version or the database that I don't have, it might be in the museum if somebody was kind enough to leave it there for me. So yeah, let's be better together. Let's contribute.
Definitely.
And talking about being better together, obviously, I'm gonna take the moment to highlight some of the contributions our tooling does. And again, another shout out to Kevin Pagano. He's been doing not only he does CTFs and carries us, he also codes, and he did a pretty good set of parsers for Fitbit data, and Fitbit data is important. And this is I'm gonna just give an example of why Fitbit data is important. And for those that are not familiar with Fitbit, it's a hardware software manufacturer. So what they do is they do kind of watches or different devices that keep track of your, let's say, your steps during the day, your heartbeat, and all sorts of things, right? And that data is extremely important. And the example I'm going to give you is from a case that happened some years ago. This dude, an older gentleman, 91 years old, he was accused of killing his 67-year-old stepdaughter. And the way, based on the reporting, what the investigating agencies believe happened was that he went to the place, killed her, and then obviously left. When the police were to interview him, he said, well, yeah, I saw her in the morning, left her some food and some things. And then I saw her later on that day with another gentleman in a car waving me goodbye as she drove by. So the question is, well, he's the one that saw her alive last, and he's saying that he was at a house at a certain time and that he had seen her alive later on that day. Well, in the scene, we found, the victim was stabbed to death. and she had a Fitbit on her wrist. So the investigators went into that data, pulled it out, and they were able to determine, based on the Fitbit, the time of death, right? Because the moment your heartbeat, or the system is detecting your heartbeat, all of a sudden there's a spike at a certain point in time, and then it flatlines. And at that point, it's reasonable to believe that it's the time of death, considering that they found her with the Fitbit on her. Okay. Well, with that time of death, possible time of death, they went and looked at where was the individual, and he happened to be at the house. He said he was there, and the surveillance system from across, I want to say across the street, but I don't remember, but some of the neighbors had his vehicle parked in her driveway at the time where the heartbeat flatline on the Fitbit, right? So it's a little bit of a kind of hard example. The person that was accused, against older person, he died before going through being prosecuted fully. But the point I'm making with that is that type of data, it's extremely important, and Kevin did some parsers for Fitbit data that might be of interest for you in your cases.
So with the Fitbit data, I actually have some Fitbit data that I pulled down from my Google Takeout. So I'm going to show you how the Fitbit Fitbit parser works in our Leap.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, what's Google Takeout?
So Google Takeout is where the Fitbit data is stored in my Google account. And I pulled it down. It's stored on the server side of Google. So I logged into my Google account and requested a pretty much like backup of my data.
Yeah, the amount of stuff in Google Takeout is amazing. If you have a phone it's connected to Google, it's gonna be sending that stuff to the Google servers, and you can request it yourself, with the Google Takeout system.
So the Google Takeout comes when you request it. Google will send it to your email. It came to my email in a zip file. So our Leap supports the zip file, and it's here. It's the Takeout file. So I'm browsing out to the Takeout file, and I'll just pick an output area. And I'm going to deselect all of the artifacts in our Leap and just choose the Google Takeout artifacts that are specific to Fitbit. There's 3. There's Fitbit, Fitbit temperature, and Fitbit SpO2. And then I'll just hit process. And it is done in seconds.
In less than a second.
And then I just have to find where it just went.
Yeah, it's on your desktop, yeah.
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me just stop my share and I will get it.
And Google Takeout data for investigators. Let's say you have a cooperating witness or a victim, right? And you need to get access to possibly, data that's housed in Google. You can, with consent, get that data and start get some benefit from it as legal process goes through as well. So just always keep that user-generated data in mind for your investigation. Super, super important.
And I'm sharing the wrong thing. There we go. I'll get this share thing down eventually. I swear.
No, it's
one of these days. There we go.
There we can see it.
There we go.
Awesome.
So you can see in the report, there's the Fitbit account profile, which shows my account data. Has my full name, my display name, email address, date of birth, and other account data. My activity goals. It shows temperatures that were logged with my Fitbit. It shows the Fitbit oxygen saturation, the SpO2 that was logged with the Fitbit. The sleep profile, Fitbit sleep profile data is here. Fitbit sleep scores that are stored on the Fitbit data. The Fitbit stress scores. I'll have to take a look at those.
I think
And
both of ours are pretty high.
and then the Fitbit tracker, so it has the data about the Fitbit tracker that I was wearing. I had the Versa 3, so it has the information about the Fitbit that I was wearing.
Yeah, no,
And
super
there's other
important.
data stored in the Fitbit too, and I'm sure they're going to continue to add to our Leap for the Fitbit parser. So you may see additional categories popping up here.
Yeah, and same thing. If you have some test data you don't mind sharing, we'll be happy to create some support for it on the tooling if you share it with us. So, which is a way of contributing as well.
Yeah.
So please contribute.
Yes, please.
And talking about contributions, right? We mentioned sharing, but what else can we do to contribute? What is there?
Oh, so many things you can do to contribute for the digital forensics community, right? So, I mean, the leaps are one of the big things I think of. I mean, when you think of contributing to your leap project, I think, oh my God, I have to write scripts, but I don't have to write scripts, right? I can't do that. There's so many people who can't do that, but just providing artifacts that you find or providing data if you can. I know a lot of people can't share their data, but providing locations of where the data is stored, how it's stored. Just
Even
saying, hey, I found this new artifact. Can you
or
help me
even
support it?
or even if something breaks, right? So we had one, or I
Mhm.
had one was last week or this week. All the days are mixing together now. Where they told me, hey, look, there's on Discord, and Discord, I want to say Android, and it didn't. The tools are not parsing it. What's happening? So we're like, I don't know. So we looked at it, and it was a change in how it's stored. So now it's kept in a SQLite database that has JSON, and just that's that. For those that don't know, that's JavaScript object notation. That's key value pairs, and we can talk about that later. And it changed, and somebody putting the word out. Hey, look, this is not working. That helps. You don't have to code, but just be part of the community. It makes us better. Now we have a parser for it, and while the main tools or third party tools catch up, you have some support already with open source tools. So that's just thanks to the community.
Right. I mean, even if finding the new artifacts, write a blog about it, share it on the listservs, the Google groups, the Discord server. Not, I would say nobody knows everything in this field. There's not one person that knows every single thing in this field. And if you are learning something new or you're wondering something, somebody else is also wondering that same thing. So share it. I can't count the number of times that I'm wondering something about a certain artifact, or I'm asking a question about an artifact, and my phone will buzz and it's somebody asking the same question or answering that question on one of the groups like 10 minutes later. It happens all of the time. So sharing what you're learning is super important. I mean,
Yeah, and that sharing could be, like if you're saying make a blog post or make some content, right? Make a video, hi everybody, or a podcast, and if you can do something that I can't do, which is make a TikTok, because I can not still get a hang of it, so I just quit. I'm not doing TikToks, but if you can do
we're gonna
one,
make a TikTok.
oh no,
Oh yeah.
and by we you mean you? Is that
No,
it?
at IACIS this year. So be ready in April. We're gonna make a TikTok.
Oh, let's hope there's no detergent eating fat at that time. I don't want to do that. Well, if you can do a TikTok or you're being
Right.
made to do a TikTok, then do it. As long as it's digital forensics related, the community will appreciate it. If not, nothing else, I will appreciate it. So please do.
I would say too, yeah, definitely make the videos. I'm trying to think of other ways to contribute. There's so many ways to contribute. Mentor somebody. There's so many new people that are starting from the bottom that just don't know how to get started. Pick somebody and just get them started. Start teaching them. Remember that they are starting from the beginning, and be patient. I mean, that would be a great way to contribute.
Yeah, no, and getting in that mindset, and I'll confess here, it's hard for me in the sense that I get somebody that's new, and I know you don't know these things, and then I just give them like a ton of stuff in 5 minutes. So we have to take it slow, be kind to the new folks, and build them up, because ourselves, right? Like myself, I've been in the law enforcement field for 16 years now, a decade in digital forensics, over 20 something years in technology. And I started like everybody else, like not knowing absolutely nothing. Where do I turn this on? and we grow together. So I
Yeah.
think I remember, I don't remember who said it, and I feel so bad, but I heard one of the members of the community saying, look, when you get to the top of that building, right, you're on that penthouse, please, please, please make sure to send that elevator down, right? So others can come up and join you. And I love that image of what it means. And I'm so sad I cannot remember. I have his face in my brain, but not his name. And I think it's really true. Bring that elevator down. Whatever you're doing, and the success you might be enjoying, bring others along for it. And because you were not built on your own. People came across your path and help you to be where you're at, and to become who you are. So
That's so true. So
yeah.
true.
And talking about people becoming who they are, I think there's a great series, right, of folks being interviewed in regards to what their experiences are, them kind of coming into the field, right?
There is. So there's a new blog by Julia Gately and Lexi Vanden Heuvel. And they are interviewing new people, new to the cyber career, new to the digital forensics, right out of college, just new to the career. And they recently did an interview with Preston McNair, who went up through college and then now works for Magnet Forensics as a forensic trainer. And they interviewed him about being new to the digital forensics atmosphere. The blog is really good. It outlines his whole journey through digital forensics, through school, and through becoming a trainer. And it talks about his path to get there. It talks about his really about his passion for digital forensics. And there's a couple of things that the blog really outlines that I wanted to read because I think they're very important. So he says DFIR space is for individuals who love a challenge and are not afraid to ask questions. Just remember to Google first. So I love that. I love that. It's so
absolutely true.
So true. And then a good piece of advice that he gives is being nimble and able to learn new skills and techniques was important. The digital landscape is constantly evolving with new social media platforms, services, hardware, etc. The learning doesn't stop once you get a degree or leave a training environment. Your head must be on a constant swivel in the digital forensics landscape to know what's on the horizon and how you can take the knowledge to apply it to your work. So I think those are some really good quotes coming out of that blog. And I would ask that everybody go read it. It's really a good story of how when you're really new to forensics, that you have to really have a passion for it and you have to really want to do it, and the types of skills that it takes to move forward and work your way up.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to, just for Heather, there's a question later in the chat that I want to readdress it at the end. So folks asking some of the questions in the chat. If we're not addressing it right now, we'll make some space at the end. So stick around. We're gonna talk about those. No, so but back to the topic. See, the thing is, like Preston is like the nicest guy you ever met, right? And I don't know if you know him personally.
I don't.
You don't? Well, I'm telling you, he's one of the nicest guys you will meet. Actually, in the blog post I was reading, and I was surprised to see myself in the picture. Him, myself at a Magnet conference a few years back, and Josh Hickman, another of the nicest people you ever meet in this field. So I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm just blessed by being surrounded by them. And I say that because, your personality as a as a human being, as you come into this field, will dictate a lot of how much you will learn, how much success you had. And I say that because lately we're having conversations. I mean, not only you and me, Heather, but also with other folks in the field, more seasoned folks, about how we're seeing or might be seeing, right? So I gotta be careful here. I might be seeing newer folks coming into the field, and some of them might tell me, well, these new folks are coming in. They have the attention span of a mosquito or a gnat, right? And they're blaming the generation. They're saying these young people, and at some point, you know, we have to be careful with making some generalizations and saying, well, all the people from this age group behaved certain ways, because, well, not necessarily true, right? It only takes one to disprove that.
Right.
But behind a generalization, you can have a little bit of exaggeration, or a lot of it, but also a little bit of truth. So we had to kind of pick some of those things. And I wanted to take the opportunity now to mention, at least talking to the young folks that might come across this podcast or are listening in, coming into the field, some of the things that I believe will be helpful in regards to how you portray yourself in the field, right? And okay, I mean, I know I'm gonna sound like the old guy, telling the new people, but it's because it's true. I am the old guy, and you are the new people. And I mean, first of all, I think folks coming to the field need to understand that you might come with a degree, and that's a good thing. You might come with certifications, right? But neither the certifications or the schools are gonna give you what you need to succeed. And you may ask yourself, then why the heck did I spend so much money on getting these? Well, because when I say that, it doesn't tell you what you need to succeed. It gives you the method for you to succeed, right? So it's not so much what you need to know as things to be done. Like, I need this artifact. This is how I deal with the phone. This is how I deal with a computer, because those change, right, Heather? I mean,
Right.
we're up to iOS what, 16? No, what, 17 now?
Almost 17, right?
And I remember iOS 13 being the thing, and all these things we're finding, and then we're at 17 now, so we need to constantly update ourselves, right? So schooling gives you the way to figure out what you need to know it when you need to know it. So it might not
Right.
give you the details of things that haven't come in yet. So you take that base knowledge and you build on it. You build that knowledge. So don't come in thinking that you know everything, or you have a degree, you're done with, I'm done with school. Let me
Right.
tell you, this field, you're starting school all over again till
You are gonna be in
exactly.
school for the rest of your career. You are not stopping.
And you go to a CTF like me, and you'll get beat up by it, and then you'll be like, you know what? I need to really keep on growing. I just need to.
Yeah.
I just need to. There's no other way.
Yeah.
It's like a shark. If you don't swim, you die, right? And some other stuff. I mean, and even some stuff that's kind of, I say elemental when you have experience, but it might not be when you're new. Like soft skills, right? If you come to your squad and kind of where I work at, or your team, and everybody's is joking, right? And you're the new person. That doesn't mean that you can joke too, right?
Right.
It means that you need to listen. You need to make
Yes.
sure you understand what the corporate or institutional culture of the place is, right? Just because they don't tell you there's a dress code doesn't mean there's no dress code. you,
Yeah.
you're not you're not gonna come in jeans and a t-shirt when everybody has, at least at a minimum, a polo and 511s or something else, or slacks.
Right.
And maybe a suit because you got to go to court, right? You really, when you go to Rome, you have to do like the Romans. And again, for the folks that are being experienced in this field, be like, well, that's obvious. Well, it's not, right? We got a new generation of folks where I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think us, like the adults, right, and the folks that have been developing them, we're failing them in a lot of ways. We, like, they have so much challenges that we didn't have. And even the daily life, the devices, phones, computers, like, I remember a time where mobile phones were not a thing, right?
Yeah.
So that means that I had to be aware to tell the young folks, hey, look, and it might sound silly, but it's not. You'll be surprised. If you're in the middle of a squad meeting, it's not the time to be looking at the phone, right? If the sergeant is talking to the group, well, you better look back at the sergeant. And we shouldn't fail them, and also don't fail yourself. And this is something I gotta get really serious now. And for the young folks, all this stuff you can ignore. Like, I'm an old. I was gonna say an old. Well, I'm an old guy, so we can ignore that. But don't ignore this, please. This is really important, right? Take care of yourself, and what that means is, when you come new to a place, and you're not established yet, obviously, if you have a seal for this field, you want to become established, be able to produce and grow. And there will be people, I'm sad to say this, that will take advantage of you, right? And also this goes to the older folks. Conferences, squads, working areas are not dating areas. And as a society, I believe, this is my opinion, I don't speak for anybody else, I believe that the bar's being too low. If it's not criminal, that means I'm okay, and that's not it. That's definitely not it. Ethics still means something, and not only ethics as a profession, as the work itself, but ethics as individuals. And I'm not preaching, although I kind of am a little bit, right? But look, I don't care what you do in your life, in your personal life, right? But what I do care about is, don't come to these young people, and since you're established, use that power dynamic that you have over them. Just because you're experienced, they might believe that they won't succeed in this career if they don't, quote unquote, consent. It's not consent if they're not coerced to do what you want them to do, right? And it could be something, simple to something extremely bad. I say bad in regards to taking advantage of them emotionally or even physically. And as an organization, gravitate to organizations that are crystal clear on what their policies are in regards to sexual harassment and those type of interactions. Okay, I love IACIS. I'm a big proponent. All volunteered corp of instructors, and they make it clear. And Heather, she's my witness. She's been there with me in that meetings. They tell you we're here to this event, and these are the rules. And if you're not abide by this code of conduct, you are out.
Yeah.
I don't. And even if it's not criminal, you are out. And if it's criminal, we will we will arrest you ourselves. There's plenty of cops there.
Yeah.
So you protect yourself. Don't feel pressure into anything. Talk to other folks that are also in the field that are more experienced, or organizations that are of trust. If you see something like that, you're being pressured to do something you don't want to do as you come into this field. You shouldn't be put up to that. Don't stand for it. And folks in the field, other folks in the field will support you.
I think I'm going to go back to the beginning.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
with some of your comments on new people coming into the field and maybe not being so much, not being ready, or not being where they need to be at coming into the field new. Maybe internships or some real life experience, some kind of real world experience prior to starting the real world job wouldn't be a bad idea. I know we've had people come through our office that have done internships, and they seem to come in and they acclimate into the work life pretty well, in my opinion. They've done an internship in a digital forensic lab. They know what the work is going to be like. They have worked a real case. And it makes me think of the Notre Dame program, right?
Oh my, what a great program. Yes, you're right.
For people who don't know about the Notre Dame internship program, they have a digital forensics lab in the school, run by a police agency and the prosecutor's office, and they take interns starting, I believe, at sophomore level. And they'll take interns and they go through a whole background process, interview process with the county prosecutor. And they're picked for the internship, and they're actually sworn in as officers, and they have like full police duty, full police powers and full police duties. And they work actual digital forensic criminal cases through their internships. And I can't think of a better real world experience prior to getting your job out of college than that. I think it's a great program. That would just set somebody so far ahead for their job after college. I would encourage people to look into that type of program if this is the career that you want to go into, or programs like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that exact program, but it just seems so cool. I actually had never heard of it until you mentioned it to me, and it's really cool.
Well, and emulate it, right? For managers that are running labs, both private and public, say public like government, emulate that, right? And if you cannot, because we fail our young people when we're thinking of, well, I need to fill out these 5 seats, and I'm gonna grab 5 bodies, and there you go, right? And there's no support system, right? And maybe, well, I'm gonna assign you a mentor, this older or more experienced seasoned examiner, and that examiner has their own workload, and now they have to try to mentor a young person with no support from management, right? There's no
Right.
program, no nothing. So as managers, that program from Notre Dame is, I believe, the gold standard
Yeah.
as they're coming in. But if you hire them and they have a probationary period, use that to effect, right? Make sure that your
Mhm.
mentors have the you allow them to have the time to mentor, and that you empower them, right? Of course,
Right.
you don't want to empower them for them then to abuse to abuse the mentee, right? So
Right.
make sure the power dynamic is balanced. There's policies, but that probationary period for that new person that's coming in, then you're gonna level them up to where you actually need them to be. And a mentorship program in an institution without making sure you understand how to empower the mentors and what the roles of the mentee are, it's not going to succeed. And sometimes those mentor programs are there in name. Oh yeah, we'll assign you a mentor, and there's like nobody came to my help for the first year, and then you're past that probationary period, and you're still trying to figure things out. So no,
Right.
we need to do a better job. That's a great example of how Notre Dame does it,
Yeah.
and we can definitely do better. Yeah. So before I move to the next thing, I want to answer some of the questions
Sure.
from the chat, and bring up some of the comments. So if you don't mind me, Heather, I'm gonna
Yep.
drive for a second the
Go
chats
for
here
it.
for a second. So um I'm not gonna put up the person in the chat, so I'm just gonna mention what it is. So we have a question about, well, an agency, some of the investigators handle officer involved shootings or vehicle collisions reconstructions, and they bring phones into the lab, but they never bring returns from Google Apple Cloud. And the person says, I think that's because they don't know what's available. Any advice to get them to start looking into those? So I'm gonna let you, Heather, kind of answer that, and then I'll try to chime in.
Tell them immediately.
Yeah.
Just tell them, call them, say, get it. So when we get in the phones, once our phones are extracted, that's what we do first. So I have these user accounts. These are the accounts tied to the phone. These are where you can possibly obtain additional data. Get your legal process out to the service providers. Have your field investigators or your case investigators or whoever's handling that serve those service providers with legal process immediately.
Oh
Get the
yeah.
letters of preservation in immediately.
Well, and it might mean you need to make make a dummy account in Google or in Apple, right? And fill it with some data, location data, chat messages, like juicy stuff. When I say juicy, I mean stuff that would be of interest in an investigation, right? And then download it and parse it with a third party tool, or RLeap is a free one that we mentioned previously, and show the investigators, look, you have this type of case, look at all the different types of data you can get from these cloud services or backups or whatever it is to create that, right? Sometimes, sometimes it might require more. It might require reaching out to whatever units management is, and make a training or talk to the sergeant. I don't know, but somebody that has the awareness that this needs to be followed up on. Right?
Yeah.
It's an incredible, from my perspective, professional malpractice to be able to have the authority to access data to solve a case, be it to prosecute or to liberate a person that's been wrongly accused, and leave that evidence on the table just because either we didn't know, or sadly because sometimes we don't want to spend the time on writing the search warrant, on writing the legal request, or whatever it is, or because we received it and we don't know what to do with it. And if I don't know what to do with it, then I just leave it there. I don't know what it is. No, we have a responsibility for our citizens and for the folks that are going through the legal process to follow up, do our due diligence. And that, again, sorry I got in this soapbox, but I feel strongly about it.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with you 100%.
yeah, and super super important that data, it's in, well. And I was listening, that reminds me of, I was listening to the podcast for MSAB, Adam Furman, and they were talking in their latest the forensic fix, how in the moving forward, some of the things they're thinking how it will look is data might not even reside on phones anymore. Phones and computers be like dummy clients. It's just a screen with a keyboard, and internet speeds are going to be so fast that there's no point of having a hard drive on a phone, because the data could communicate through these wireless uninterrupted connections instantaneously, right? So where's the data going to be? Not on the device anymore. It's going to be all housed in a service, right? So realizing how that might change that way, I don't know. It might go that way. We don't know the future,
Yeah.
but it really underscores the importance of being aware of all the data sources within the device and outside of the device. All right, so we have some more questions here. It says here, if you could answer, yeah. So it says, I'd like to know if it's possible to use iLeap. That's the tool, that open source tool that we make to parse iOS extractions, to see if you could use iLeap with an iOS capture that was from an encrypted backup from iTunes. So the question is yes or no. is no if it's encrypted, no. But if you decrypt it, yes. And there's open source tool for them, as long as you know the password of the encrypted backup. Of course, you know the password, you can decrypt it and then feed that unencrypted iTunes backup to iLeap. The thing with iLeap and backups like that is that I don't provide a lot of support for iTunes backups, just because there's not a lot of data that's relevant to my cases. I gravitate to full file system extractions, and for those who don't know, is the most data you can pull out of a mobile device, especially be it Android or iOS, but specifically Android. Full file system extractions, and that's the ones I support the most. I don't really go digging for iTunes backup artifacts, but if somebody has one and wants to reach out to me, something they want to support, and they can provide some test data, I'll be happy to try and support it. But again, give me some test data, and we can go from there. Let me see who has something else here. Yeah, so a lot of good folks here in the chat. So, I want to read this. I think it's pretty interesting. To have a successful career in digital forensics, you need to be passionate, curious, driven, and embrace continuous learning. That's pretty much what we said in a nice, concise sentence, right?
Yeah.
The day you stop being curious and stop learning is the day you will have an expiry date in this field. And no matter if you're new to the field or you have been doing it for 20 years, everybody can contribute to the field. We all have unique experiences and areas of forensics that we're passionate about, so that you can tap into and share with your peers and learn to. We should just stop like the show there, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
great.
yeah, but we're not going to. We need to show one more thing. All right, so let's see here. Let me see one last comment here that I have. All right, awesome. Yeah, so just to kind of close up the show, obviously we have the meme of the week, and this is inspired, I think, a little bit on the CTF, or well, not on the CTF only. I don't want to call out the Cellebrite, because that would be unfair and untrue. Cellebrite it's a great tooling, great people, and they're awesome. But it's more of a comment in for all the field vendors and tooling that we have. So again, it's not Cellebrite, it's anybody and everybody, including myself, because I make tools. So you have here this, it's like the Flex Tape commercial, and you have this big, humongous bucket of water. There's a big hole in the bucket, and then the water's coming out. So in the commercial, if you've seen it on TV, the guy has Flex Tape, and he goes and slaps the Flex Tape on the thing and stops the leak, right? So the meme, again, I'm describing it for those folks that are listening. The big bucket is the need of parsers for level DB artifacts, and we'll talk about level DB in a future episode, or but any type of artifact. And then the guy with the Flex Tape is the vendors, right? They're gonna solve this issue, and then they put the Flex Tape to close that hole, and it says clunky file viewer. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what your experience are with viewers, Heather, but mine's are not always the best.
No, especially when you're trying to find answers to a capture the flag or a test.
Poor Cellebrite. We're
Sorry, Celebrate.
we're undercover. We're
But it's not just
underground.
them, it's all
Exactly.
of them. It's all of them. It's all of the file viewers in everyone.
I was gonna say we're kind of undercover dragging them. No, it's all in love, and I say that because I mean that's the case, right? And don't get me wrong, file viewers are important, right? Sometimes you might need to look at specific one piece of data and look at more than what the parser shows you, right? Because let's say you have a P list or a BP list and it has 100 fields. You know, your parser, your tool will show you maybe 5 or 6 that are important, and that's good because if they show you 100 of them, they're gonna overwhelm you, right? So I
Right.
get that.
Right.
And you might need to look at 3 more of those fields or see if there's any others that you might want that are not in the tooling shown as the as parts as an artifact. So yeah, we need viewers, don't get me wrong, we need them, but let's make them more user friendly. And if anybody wants to get opinions, I think me and Heather, we're more than happy. We're full of
Yeah.
opinions. All right. Well, I think we've come to the end of the show. Thank you, Heather, for putting up with me. It's been
Thanks
a
for
rough
putting up
week
with
for
me.
us, right?
Yeah.
It's been a rough week, but we survived.
It's not even Friday.
Oh no!
I know.
Why do you have to tell me that?
Sorry.
And also, thanks to the folks that show up for the chat. We love reading your comments, interacting with you. You're the ones that are we learn from you. So thanks for coming up. We're gonna be again here in 2 weeks. Again, we love you all. Thank you for being here. And with that, we'll see you. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.